This is Malibu, fabled hideaway for the rich and famous, exclusive and very expensive.
So this is David Beckham's place, coming up on our right. This is David Beckham's place.
On this bus tour, passengers are invited to marvel at the lives of others.
That's Simon Cowell's place right there.
But there is a mystery house on Malibu's imposing cliffs.
Who lives here on this house on the left?
The secret owner has bought the properties on either side too. We know now because he's been identified thanks to a huge leak of offshore documents. The Pandora papers were obtained by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. They show the real owner is Jordan's King Abdullah II. Jordan is not wealthy, but the king has secretly amassed $130 million of British and American property. It's not illegal, but it will be embarrassing for a self-styled modernist leader.
It's just very, very difficult for the average Jordanian to achieve just sort of home and family and a good job. To have it really thrown in Jordanians' faces that he's just been sort of funneling money abroad all this time, that would look really bad.
The Pandora papers expose data concerning some of the richest and most powerful people in the world, using shelf companies to hide financial transactions. As well as King Abdullah, there's former British Prime Minister Tony Blair's missing tax, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev's $745 million in property sales, the French villa of Czech Republic's Prime Minister Andrej Babis, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta's $40 million in stocks, and a sprawling network of shelf companies linked to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who swept to power on a promise to tackle corruption. The leak also connects Russian President Vladimir Putin to secret assets in Monaco. Britain's Tony Blair, a former Labour Prime Minister, avoided $430,000 in stamp duty for a property purchase.
Offshore trusts get tax relief.
He used a loophole, avoiding the sort of taxes he once championed as vital to pay for hospitals and education.
That doesn't look great. And so even if what the Blairs did was perfectly legal, perfectly legitimate in the business world, it feels instinctively really unfair because they got access to an advantage, a potential advantage, that the rest of us don't have.
The Czech Prime Minister is on the defensive for failing to declare his $22 million estate in France.
Peníze odešly z České banky, byly zdaněné, byly to moje peníze a vrátily se do České banky.
It may not be illegal, but the optics may cost him his job. He faces re-election this week.
So we're talking about presidents, we're talking about prime ministers, we're talking about ministers and central bank governors, who actually are the ones who should be making the decisions and taking actions to tackle the flow of dirty money.
The flow of dirty money and how it continues to be used and abused by those in positions of power. Gary Cox, SBS World News.
More than 400 Australians have been named in the Pandora papers, according to The Guardian. And while the full details of the leak haven't been made public, the Australian Tax Office is analysing the data to identify any possible domestic links. Our chief political correspondent, Anna Henderson, explains.
The Tax Office has stressed that being named in the leak doesn't automatically mean there's evidence of tax evasion or a crime. It points out there are a range of legitimate reasons someone could have an offshore bank account or structure, but it also says those who try to cheat the system will face serious consequences. In a statement warning, no complicated money trail is too difficult for us to unravel. But that hasn't muted calls for tougher federal laws to stop bad practices.
This is outrageous. We now have a situation in Australia where a nurse and a midwife will be paying more tax than millionaires and multinationals. We need to close these loopholes and put in place a billionaire's tax that works.
This is explosive. Tax avoidance is a crime. Money laundering is a crime. They're not victimless crimes. We want to see the government use the same vigour in cracking down on this tax avoidance as they have chasing down people through robo-debt. So the Tax Office has to have the resources.
The Tax Office is urging anyone with undeclared offshore income to come forward. The Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, has also released a statement in the wake of the leak. He says his government is committed to increasing transparency and is already investing in it.